I'm normally way over there with Bernie and Elizabeth on this one.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring to you a recap, a summary, an analysis of the second Democratic debate event. The first one was held last month at the end of June in Miami, Florida. It was put on by MS13 NBC. This one was held in Detroit, Michigan. It's being put on by CNN. Now, there's a lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. But I got to jump to the elephant in the room. Yes, I was streaming this event. Yes, I did get clipped by CNN. Like almost as soon as it started, they copyright strike me and I was off. But thankfully, I was able to email somebody at CNN that was given to me in the contact of whoever struck the video down. And then they restored my streaming rights and took off the copyright strike. So I can stream again on my channel just fine. But I told them, hey, I'm not going to stream any more live CNN content. So tonight, I'll do a normal show, but I won't be streaming the actual debate. And that's okay because, yes, there is a lot to unpack here, but the debate, quite frankly, was pretty boring. It's better if you watch these debates with a party and you can just laugh and joke about what they're saying. But this debate, just from the first night of it, you still got another night tonight, which is Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. But the first night of it was not nearly impactful as the first night of the previous event in Miami, because the previous one, everybody was trying to do their best Spanish impersonation. They're trying to be like Ricky Ricardo, George Lopez, Jennifer Lopez, or whatever. It was crazy. But in this one, it wasn't quite like that. I didn't hear any Spanish. I didn't hear any, Baltimore accents, and I didn't hear that much about Baltimore. I was kind of surprised. They did speak about it a little bit here and there, but it wasn't the primary topic of the debate, which makes me wonder. They in the media are talking about this Baltimore issue being racist against black people and it being a very big issue. It's been dominating the whole news cycle, but yet in the debate, it wasn't really a big topic. I wonder why that was not a big topic, but the idea of the border wall and speaking Spanish was very big in the first one, but I digress. Let's get back to the second Democratic debate held in, quite ironically, another failed Democratic city of Detroit, just like Baltimore, Philly, etc. But we'll move on. Now, you have Bernie Sanders. I'm reading right here on the list. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, Hickenlooper, Tim Ryan. I think his name is John Delaney, Marianne Williamson, and Steve Bullock, the governor of Montana. Now, the person that stood out the most here was probably Bernie Sanders or Marianne Williamson, but that's not really saying that much. And the reason why they stood out is because of their demeanor. That's pretty much it. Marianne Williamson is, like I said in the previous video about the last debate, she is a space cadet 1,000% of the way. When you hear her talk, you might almost hear cult leader. And that's why she's a quote unquote spiritual advisor. People like that, they tend to have kind of, followings that are just looking for something, looking for empty space in their soul. But I digress. Her whole thing was just kind of weird. She's talking about Trump has this dark cosmic energy. It was really strange. Her whole thing throughout the whole situation was to be kind of this spiritual hippie and also bring up the topic of reparations. Don Lemon, we'll talk about him in a little bit. He asked her a question about reparations. He was like, what makes you think that you understand how much reparations should be? Because she was saying like 200 billion or 100 billion or 500 billion, whatever. And we'll talk about that also in a moment, all these numbers. And she was saying, well, it's not about, any kind of government assistance. It's about a debt that was owed. And if you did the math from the whole 40 acres and the mule situation, it'd be worth trillions of dollars. So I think at least 100 billion would be the starting point. So she didn't really answer the question because there's no mathematical equation to come up with a number of 100 billion. It just seems kind of random and arbitrary, just kind of a way to make itself be a little bit more noticed, get some more attention. It's not a real campaign promise. Well, it's a promise, but it's not a real one, meaning it will never come to fruition. Okay. So she was just basically saying that's how I feel based upon some old stuff. And that's where I would start. So that's kind of how she was sticking out from the pack, just being a space cadet, having this weird way of speaking in esoteric terms, and also giving out freebies. Who can give out the most free stuff? All right. During this debate, you had some moderates. You had your Hickenloopers, your Ryans, and who else? Oh, your Delaneys, people like that. Maybe even Steve Bullock to a certain extent. Their numbers in Google search went up, but the reality is that they have no chance. Right now, in the debate process, the Democrats are trying to appeal to the primary voter. The primary voter is not your average everyday person. These are the ones that are really involved in politics on the left. And unfortunately for them, fortunately for us on the right, people on the left that are very active and are really out there are going to be the extremists. The far left, free health care, cradle to grave, free school, free this, free that, $1,000 an hour minimum wage. Those are going to be the individuals that are out there voting. So who can out, quote unquote, progressive the next individual is the name of the game in this debate. And that's what it was apparently on stage. The moderate guys are trying to carve out a niche for themselves, but they have no real chance. Maybe in a general election, they would fare better, but not right now during the primary, I guess you would call it a recruitment process, the primary voter recruitment process. But let's get back to my man, Don Lemon. CNN, we all know, was a biased network. Everybody knows it. Is not even up for discussion. I'm not even mad at my debate show getting clipped because I know it wasn't the person that did it, the employee. It was CNN. They have certain policies. They don't want you to be streaming a debate. They want to just keep their stuff in-house. Their ratings are going low. Little Brian Stelter's show lost like 40% of his viewers in a very short period of time, like 2 or 3 months. So they're trying to hold on to whatever they can. It's about money. It's about trying to get ratings and this, that, and the third. But the bias is off the chain. Don Lemon asked a question about the economy and Trump, and you can see the bias pretty clear. Check it out.
What do you say to those Trump voters who prioritize the economy over the president's bigotry?
So he's not even trying to hide it. He was like, look, Trump's a bigot. How do you feel about that? Like, not even saying, do you agree with me or nothing like that. So, I mean, you're talking about a leading question, a loaded question. A lot of that came from Don Lemon and the whole squad, but especially from Don Lemon. Okay, you just had this whole thing from Victor Blackwell when he was crying on TV talking about Baltimore. And again, after that whole big kerfuffle, him crying, all this and that, I did not hear much about Baltimore. So it lets you know, black person or non-Hispanic person, where the Democratic Party's interests really are. They're going to Mexico to campaign there to help people cross the border illegally. Are they going to Baltimore? It seems like it's only the conservatives that are going to Baltimore talking to the people, but the Democrats are going to Mexico talking to them, even though they can't vote yet legally. But I digress. This debate was not very exciting. It would have been great to watch with a party, which is why I was streaming it, because you can just laugh and joke at what was going on. But it wasn't a whole lot here. I mean, some of the basic things, minimum wage got to be higher, health care for all, Medicare for all. I think it was John Delaney who was talking to Bernie Sanders about Medicare for all and why it won't work. Hospitals rely upon private insurance to keep afloat. If they're paid at the Medicare, Medicaid, whatever rate, they're not going to be able to sustain themselves. 1/3 of hospitals will go away. So that was a moderate point, a good point. But again, these guys really have no chance when it comes to the general. And speaking to Bernie Sanders and what he was saying, it was hilarious to see Tim Ryan say, hey, you don't have to yell when he was talking about a particular thing.
They could bail out the crooks on Wall Street. So please don't tell me that we cannot take on the fossil fuel industry. You don't have to yell.
So I think that might have been probably the highlight of the debate, telling Bernie to not yell. But that's pretty much all I got for now. And what say you? Do you think that the debate in Detroit, Michigan last night was a good one? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Was it a bad debate? What did you learn about any of the candidates that were on the stage? People like Amy Klobuchar and Beto and Buttigieg, I didn't really see. Some people said that Pocahontas did very well. All she did was just kind of match the high level of so-called progressiveness, which ain't nothing but leftist extremism, leftist radicalism. She matched that in a voice that was not so loud and abrasive like Bernie Sanders, you know, that type of, you know, New York type. It wasn't that. It was more of a soft, you know, oaky type of voice. So people liked that. They appreciated that rather than the loud screechings from a 77-year-old man. But that's all I got. And whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
Every time that Trump tweets, we lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.